Call the meeting of the Dickinson City Commission to order for November 7th, 2023. Let the record show we're missing Commissioner Oderman today. First item is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. Minor delay there. First item up is the order of business. Mr. Dossinger, are there any changes to the order of business?
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the Commission. There is no change to the order of business this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Dossinger. Any questions on the order of business? Hearing none, I look for a motion on the order of business.
I'd move to approve.
I have a motion to approve.
Second.
With a second, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item up is the consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that the Commission wishes to discuss?
Mr. President, I move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick,
Second?
second by Commissioner Sobeluk. Any further discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Ms. Sobeluk?
Aye.
Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. We'll move right into administration and finance. First item up this evening is a Class A liquor license for Final. And this will be presented by City Administrator Dossinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. Final Bar and Lounge LLC has applied for a liquor license. City staff has reviewed the application, which includes a background check completed by the police department on the 10 members that have interest in the license. I do want to point out that 2 of these members are under the age of 21, but in North Dakota Century Code and our ordinance, there's nothing that specifically restricts a minor from having an interest in a liquor license. City staff is looking for a decision on the approval of this license.
Thank you, Mr. Dossinger. Any questions for city staff? Or I know there's some of the representatives here if commissioners have any questions. Not, I'd look for a motion.
I'd move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Sobeluk,
Second.
second by Commissioner Frederick. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mrs. Sobeluk?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Dr. Bear?
No.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Next up is a tobacco license. Mr. Dossinger?
Thank you, Mr. President. Final Bar and Lounge LLC has applied for a tobacco dealer license. City staff has reviewed the application and recommends approval.
Thank you, Mr. Dossinger. Any questions on the tobacco license?
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. And next item, we have a gaming site authorization. There is gaming at this site, but we have to reauthorize under the new licensees. So, Mr. Dossinger?
Thank you again, Mr. President. Final Bar and Lounge, which is going to be located at 640 12th Street West, has applied for a gaming site authorization to be utilized by Dickinson Youth Activities. This would include bingo, electronic pull-tab devices, pull-tab jar, 21, raffles, paddle wheel table, Calcuttas, and sports pools. City staff has reviewed the application and recommends approval.
Thank you, Mr. Dossinger. Any questions on the gaming license?
Mr. President,
Dr. Bear?
Ms. Waco, my question is there's 2 individuals that are under the age of 21. Can they own or be part owner of a establishment that is gaming?
Commissioner Bear, I'm not aware of any restriction legally or otherwise that would prohibit that. Obviously, because the individuals are under the age of 21, they are going to be prohibited from entering the establishment. That's just something that they're going to have to work out with management and understand that there are going to be restrictions in place that have to be adhered to, because that's the rule, that's the law. So I'm hoping that it won't be an issue and that the individual owners will adhere to those restrictions and make sure that they're in compliance.
Okay, my issue I have is, my understanding is this has already become an issue with one of the potential owners that are under 21. So my concern is, to me, it's a trust issue, and I have an issue with that.
Commissioner Barbera, I guess that question is open for further dialogue with the commissioners. With regard to the liquor license specifically, the board does have discretion to grant those. Certainly, the board has already voted to approve. Certainly, you have the same authority to do that with the gaming license. My understanding, the gaming license and the liquor license do track together. So again, I think those are questions and comments probably posed to the other commissioners who must vote on this.
I guess my concern is we're opening up a can of worms for underage individuals owning businesses that are not of legal age to sell things or do things, such as and I'm not sure about North Dakota law, but what if we have someone who's 18 years old that wants to open up a vaping and smoke store? Do we go ahead and approve of that? I just think we're going down a rabbit hole we don't want to go down. But to me, it's a moral issue. It may not be a legal issue, it's a moral issue.
I don't think this is a first for the city. In the past, there's been a restaurant bar owned by a minor in town. And that's just how the business was set up. So as long as they adhere, they know they can't be on the premises. They have an interest in it, and they are risking their money for the success or the failure of the business. And if they're if they give their establishment a bad name by not adhering to the law, then they risk, what they've invested in it. So I'm hoping that everybody will adhere to the law. If not, we'll prosecute it. That's what we're here for. So.
President Decker and Commissioner Barbera, just for the clarification, again, if something like that were to happen and the city was made aware of a potential violation, it would likely be investigated. And of course, if that were to happen, that could be reason that license comes back in front of you for a potential suspension or revocation. So that provides for those remedies in code. Obviously, this is a unique circumstance, but again, I think it falls back to the business owner to make sure that they're in compliance. Again, this is a unique situation, but it's certainly something that the city does have the ability to monitor.
If I may, I'm Jordan Selling. I'm here on behalf of Final. I've been working with them and the city to get these licenses in place. I've had that discussion with the owners who are under 21. They understand they're not allowed on the premises. Though the one owner, actually, one of the owners has 1% of 10% of the owner, so 0.1%. The other one, who is a little bit more of an owner, he understands he can't be on there. He'll turn 21 next October, I believe it is. So I understand that it won't be a problem. Final has no wishes to create any problems or even be put in a position where Christina gets to prosecute something. So.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Sullinger? Any further comments or questions? Not, I'd look for a motion on the gaming license.
I'd move to approve.
I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Sobeluk.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Frederick. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Ms. Sobeluk?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Mr. Sullinger. We have a job description update, and this will be handled by HR Director Nominuk.
Thank you, President Decker and Commissioners. Before you tonight, I have the Marketing and Events Coordinator job description. This is a new position for us. It was approved with the 2024 budget. It's a full-time position that will collaborate with city staff and department heads to determine the needs and objectives for the annual strategic marketing plan for the marketing department. The position assists the marketing and events director plan, advertise, and execute the annual citywide marketing campaigns, coordinate and program, and market events in the Dickinson Legacy Square. The candidate should be a motivated self-starter and extremely high detail-oriented individual with strong written and verbal communication skills. So those are some of the main things that we're looking for in this position. Some of the responsibilities, as you can see, they will maintain quality control over the city brand throughout all the departments, programs, and channels. They'll assist in preparing collateral material, graphics, photography, used in all of our different types of communication channels. They'll assist with creation and implementation of special events and concerts, all of those type of things that go along with the square. For education experience, we're looking for a high school diploma, a bachelor's degree in marketing, graphic design, communication, or related degree, 2 years professional or internship experience in events marketing, planning, marketing advertisement, or campaign development, or an equivalent combination of both the education and or experience. A couple of the requirements: it will require this position to have a valid driver's license, and they must be 21 years of age due to the alcohol that will be in the Legacy Square at times. This position does fall into grade 14 and will be a non-exempt position. City staff is looking for approval.
Thank you, Mrs. Nominuk. Any questions on the new job description for the Marketing and Events Coordinator? Hearing no discussion on the new job, I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Bear,
Second?
second by Commissioner Soboluk. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Dr. Bear.
Aye.
Mrs. Soboluk.
Aye.
Mr. Frederick.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Public Works, and we have a bar engineering agreement. This will be presented by Interim Deputy Public Works Director Prouse. Welcome.
Good evening, President and Commissioners. Before you tonight is an agreement between the City of Dickinson and Bar Engineering to provide a third-party Method 9 observance for our wood waste burner out at our landfill. This is part of our permit to operate that was issued to us a couple years ago that got overseen or overlooked by the DEQ in the past. They reached out to us under new direction and are requiring us to fulfill this obligation to our permit. So I did have to find a third party to do the observations. Once that third party observation is completed, from there on, we have an internal staff that'll be taking care of the observations when we're burning the wood waste at the landfill. The agreement is estimated to cost approximately $4,500. It'll include it'll be a visual observation for a day, which is slated for December 5th, and then a final report that will be submitted to DEQ to satisfy that need of the permit.
Thank you, Mr. Prouse. Any questions from Mr. Prouse on this agreement? If there are no questions, I look for a motion.
Mr. President, move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick,
Second?
second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion?
So they just have to come watch you guys turn it on, or what?
Yes, it's a series of 3 watches. They're 15-minute watches, but it's from startup to shutdown, and we have to do it a series of 3 times. And there's about an hour and a half in the middle of each one of those observations. It's the individuals that work for the DEQ prior to the new environmental coordinators that they have working with us now. A lot of their opacity is focused around power plant technology and the plumes coming off of the power plant stacks. That's why they waived this, because it's a completely different operation, but now they're requiring it. So we're fulfilling the need of that requirement.
Sounds good. Thanks, Aaron.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And next up is Public Safety, our monthly fire report. Welcome, Chief.
Thank you, President Decker and Commissioners. I'm before you tonight to present the September monthly report for the fire department. Just a reminder of our services, it does go a little bit beyond just fire suppression. An overview, 164 calls for service. Coming in hot, wow.
Here to get you.
Yeah, sometimes I worry. We did respond to 164 calls for service for the month of September. That does still keep us up a little bit higher than where we were at last year. You know, we are seeing about a 28% increase. Here's a breakdown of our calls by month. So we are starting to level out overall, but as compared to last year, we are seeing that increase. Whoops. So here's a breakdown of our call types. We responded to 120 EMS calls. Of that 120, 6 of those were vehicle accidents, and then 6 fires and 33 false alarms make up that total. Calls by apparatus. Our QRU is still responding to the majority of our calls, and that would be because we are seeing a lot of EMS calls. Here's a breakdown of our calls by station. Station 1 is still seeing the majority of the calls. And then here's a heat map of that. So the redder areas are going to be either hotels or apartment complexes where you have multiple residents, and we're seeing a lot more calls happening in those areas. Here's our response times. We're doing pretty good out of Station 1. We did see an increase in our response times out of Station 2. And when I went back and reviewed that data, a lot of it had to do with stacked up calls where we had multiple calls going on at one time. So Station 2 was responding down into Station 1's area, so there was a slight delay there. And I think there were 10 instances where that happened in the month of September, so that did help with that increased response time. Training hours, we did commit a lot of time to training this month. We're trying to meet that requirement for ISO for the first time ever and try to hit 100% of that. We are sitting at about 108.5 hours for the month of September, so we're right on track. We should meet that 100% completion of our training hours for 2023, which will equate into an increase or an increase in our ISO score, but a decrease in our ISO rating if we get those training hours. Fire prevention is a little slower month for fire prevention in terms of inspections. We kind of started to kick off some of our fire prevention activities at the end of September, so a lot of time was dedicated to preparing for Fire Prevention Week and getting all that stuff ready. But they still completed 24 inspections and 42 other fire prevention activities and 1 certificate of occupancy. And then with that, I'd gladly answer any questions.
Thank you, Chief Presnell. Any questions for the Chief?
Thank you.
All right, moving right along, we're into community development. Our first item up is Highlands Engineering Task Order, our North Industry Street and Stormwater Improvement. Be presented by Engineering Community Development Director Skolzchek.
Good evening, Mr. President and Commissioners. Before you is a task order for Highlands Engineering for the street and stormwater reconstruction for the North Industries area. If you recall, the North Industries Utilities project was something that we moved forward with earlier in 2023 and is actually currently under construction right now, slated to be finalized by mid-July of 2024. And as part of that, ultimately, as those roadways were in poor condition before, And then ultimately now with the sewer and water going in, that's not going to improve the circumstances. So therefore, looking at, for the street improvements, getting that finalized for design and having a bid-ready package for the 2024 construction season. This specifically includes about 7,750 lineal feet of streets, and in this, as proposed in the capital improvement plan for 2024, we are looking at a special improvement district and looking at a different or maybe slightly unique pavement surface for it'd be a cement-treated subgrade with recycled asphalt product on the surface. So in that case, we're estimating total project would be about $1 million, and based on the circumstances that and the feedback that we received earlier in 2023 from the property owners, best we can do at this point is present it to them, see what their feedback is on the special improvement district, but this would be a far less cost impact to those individual property owners versus what was proposed earlier in 2023. In that case, total installed cost for that project was $4.1 million, so this is a significant reduction comparatively. In that case, the intent was to install an urban section, control stormwater from basically curb to curb, and provide some additional measures just because there are known stormwater issues up in that area. We'll have a little bit less ability to manage that with this revised section, but ultimately the public engagement that we had earlier in 2023 from those property owners, they had far more than 50% feedback was they did not want to spend all the money on full street, urban street section and stormwater improvements. So,
Have we looked at a rural paved section?
that's basically
What this is? I mean,
basically what it would be. It would be
mean-
similar to a rural paved, but just
so-
recycled asphalt product on the surface then. So
just laid down, or is it like laid?
Yeah, it'd be-
It's paved like asphalt then? So it would be a paved street?
it's not an actual paved street. It would be just the recycled asphalt on the surface, but it'd be sitting on top of a cement treated subgrade. So you'd have a much more stability in your subgrade comparatively. So
Have we looked at paving?
I believe we did look at that as an alternative. I'd have to look back. We've looked at a series of options. So I believe that was a far greater cost, if I remember correctly. But that's something else we can look into
So-
with this project.
So prepping that subgrade like that, I mean, is that gonna stop when it rains and snow melts from tire rutting and?
Yes. Yeah, in this case, I have quite a bit of experience working with this type of application.
Because there's a lot of heavy truck traffic up there, a lot
Yeah.
of traffic, so.
Yeah, specifically, for example, just recently completed the design review for Gooseneck Implement. This is almost exactly what they're planning to do for their implement dealership in their parking lot. But also throughout the country, I've utilized this on many projects,
Okay.
many roadways. This takes your subgrade strength from a very low overall to your 400 to 500 psi in your subgrade. So down from what was probably 20 or 30. So there's significant improvement, and then ultimately we can look at possibly in future road maintenance projects if there's concerns or feedback from Public Works that the recycled asphalt product is ultimately moving around or something like that, we can look at chip sealing it and ultimately trying to seal that off as a more permanent surface. So.
Okay. Thanks, Josh.
Are there any other questions on this Highlands Engineering task order? Not, I'd look for a motion.
I'd move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick,
Second?
second by Commissioner Sobeluk. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk?
Aye.
Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. We have a lot of special guests this evening, so we'll get right to it. Our next is public hearing phase, and during this public hearing phase, the first item up this evening will be the swearing in of our new youth commission. And I would like all youth commissioners to please come to the podium. I'm going to do the swearing in, and then I'm going to let them introduce themselves to everyone.
Correct.
All right. Alicia. There you are. Hannah. Cassie. There. We've got two of them here, I think. No. Daryl. There. Viv. Beth. Not here. Tell 'em, right? There you go. All right. Repeat after me. Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Cassie O'Rourke,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United
the
States,
Constitution of the State of North Dakota,
the Constitution of the State of North Dakota,
uphold the home charter,
uphold the home charter,
municipal code of the City of Dickinson,
municipal code of the City of Dickinson,
North Dakota,
North Dakota,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the Youth Commission in the City of Dickinson,
of the Youth Commission in the City of Dickinson,
Stark County, North Dakota,
Stark County, North Dakota,
according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Welcome aboard. Congratulations. Sign that, and then I'm going to have you introduce yourself to the public. You'll have to wait a little bit to sign there. Everybody a copy. All right, have we elected a leader here yet?
We have
Not yet? All right, by default, I guess you get to start in the end and kind of introduce yourself to everybody.
Hi, my oh. Hello. Good evening. My name is Dilcia Contreras. I'm 16 years old and I'm a junior at the high school, Dickinson High School.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Hello, I am Bria Kilwine and I am 18 years old. I am a senior at Trinity High School and I served on the Dickinson Youth Commission last year.
Welcome back.
Hi, my name is Cassie Hauk. I'm 15. I am a sophomore at Trinity High School.
Welcome aboard.
I'm Tierney Yoder. I am a senior at Dickinson High School, and I have been the treasurer of the Youth Commission for the last 2 years.
Welcome back.
My name is Ariel Hecker and I'm 17 years old and I'm a junior at Dickinson High School.
Welcome.
Hello, my name is Hannah Dahl. I am a junior at Dickinson High School, and this is my second year as a youth commissioner.
Welcome back.
Hello, my name is Talon Edvornik. I'm a junior at the Dickinson High School, and this is my first year serving for the Youth Commission.
Welcome aboard. Well, thank you all for serving, and I'm really encouraged that we have some members back for leadership positions, and we have a lot of new interests, so I'm looking forward to the commission and the Youth Commission and us getting together and working on some things for the city. So anybody else have anything else? All right.
Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you again.
Thank you.
And then the next item up, we have some new officers. Chief Siani.
Good evening, Mr. President, Commissioners. I'm here to introduce 4 of our newest officers, Araya McClintock, Coleman Bodle, Kenneth Finlayson, and Chandler Warner, and present them here to be formally sworn in as Dickinson City police officers. I'm going to start with Officer Araya McClintock. Araya is originally from Grand Forks, North Dakota. She is a graduate of Drayton High School and joined the U.S. Army National Guard during her senior year of high school. She is still active in the Guard and currently holds the rank of sergeant. Following graduation from Drayton High School, she attended UND for a short period while working in the service industry. She later moved to Minot and became a CNA. She eventually relocated to Dickinson, where she continued to work in the health industry. She joined our team in March of this year. She has since completed the North Dakota Law Enforcement Training Academy and the Dickinson Police Department's Field Training Officer Program. Next, I have Officer Coleman Bodle. Coleman is originally from Cody, Wyoming. He graduated from Weber High School in Pleasant View, Utah. Following graduation, Coleman enlisted in the Marine Corps. He was honorably discharged as a corporal in 2018 and relocated to Dickinson to work in the energy sector. He finished his reservist obligation in the military in 2020 and enrolled in Dickinson State University. He will be graduating with a bachelor's degree in January. Coleman was working for the Southwest Multi-County Correctional Center as a captain before joining our team in March of this year. He has also completed the North Dakota Law Enforcement Training Academy and the Dickinson Police Department Field Training Officer Program. I also have Officer Kenneth Finlayson. Ken is originally from Riverton, Wyoming. Following graduation from Riverton High School, he relocated to Dickinson to attend Dickinson State University. Ken wrestled for 4 years collegiately with DSU before graduating with an Associates of Arts degree. He remained in the area and working in the construction and energy sectors for a number of years. In 2021, he was hired as a deputy sheriff in the Adams County Sheriff's Department. He was later promoted to sergeant in Adams County. He completed his North Dakota Law Enforcement Training Academy while employed in Adams County. Ken joined our team in September of this year and is currently in the Dickinson Police Department Field Training Program. And last but not least, we have Officer Chandler Warner. Chandler is a Dickinson native and graduate of Dickinson High School. Following high school, he attended Dickinson State University for a few semesters, participating in their cheer and track programs. He went on to work in the service industry and tried his hand at being an apprentice electrician before being hired at the Southwest Multi-County Correctional Center as a correctional officer. That was in early 2022. He also became a reserve sheriff's deputy for the Stark County right around the same time frame. In 2023, he put himself through a branch of the Lake Region Peace Officer Training Program offered in West Fargo. He graduated the program and passed the post test in August of this year. Chandler also joined our team in September of this year and is currently in the Dickinson Police Department Training Program. With that, I have these fine young men and women to come up for swearing in, if you would.
I state your name.
I, Coleman Bodle,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will uphold the laws of the city of Dickinson,
that I will uphold the laws of the city of Dickinson,
the laws and Constitution of the State of North Dakota,
the laws and Constitution of the State of North Dakota,
and the laws and Constitution of the United States of America.
the laws and Constitution of the United States of America,
And I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the City of Dickinson
the duties of the City of Dickinson,
police officer to the best of my ability.
police officer to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God. Thank you.
I know Chief Ciani gave us a pretty good bio on all of you. Does anyone have anything more to say to the public? Anyone?
We appreciate and thank you for the opportunity to serve.
Well, welcome aboard. We are very happy to have you here, and I would dare say I think you're joining one of the best teams in the state of North Dakota, if not the best. So very happy to have you here, and it's another proud day for the city of Dickinson. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Right. We have a public hearing next for the rezone of the TCB subdivision. And this will be handled by City Planner Galbert if I haven't seen him yet, so make his way up
Mr.
here.
President, City Planner Galbert was feeling a little bit under the weather and asked me to present on
Okay.
his behalf. So
Go ahead.
So, so again, good evening, commissioners. So the rezone for TCB subdivision, this was a subdivision that you guys had recently seen some meetings ago. But ultimately, as we were working through that subdivision process, one of the things that was identified was there was a narrow strip within Lot 1 of that TCB subdivision where there was actually a different zoning code or a different zoning district. And after further review and research on, there been a series of different replats within that area. There was really no explanation as to why that ultimately showed up on our maps. And so ultimately we recommended to the applicant that they just present a rezone for the entire lot and ultimately rezone from general commercial to community commercial, and ultimately that meeting all aspects of Article 39 of the zoning municipal code, and then this was approved by Planning and Zoning Commission. So City Community Development staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Josh. Any questions, commissioners? And you guys have, you said you heard it at Planning and
Yeah,
Zoning?
we did.
Okay.
It's more of just a cleanup thing, I think.
Okay.
Agreed.
I don't think anybody really knows what happened. There was a sliver out of there that was zoned something different for some reason, so.
That's what we have to do, is just correct when we find these in town, so. All right, if there's no more questions or comments, I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Bear?
I'll second that, but do we have to do a public hearing?
Yes. Good catch. Got caught up in the moment. Caught up in the moment. All right, public hearing. If anybody wishes to come forward, is any discussion on this rezone, please come forward, state your name, let us know what your concerns are with the rezone, or if there's any other concerns outside of the rezone. Anyone from the public? If you're watching online, 701-456-7006. Anyone from the public have any concerns on the rezone? Seeing no one has any concerns, I'll close the public hearing. We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Bear to approve.
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Sobeluk. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Ms. Sobeluk?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. And the last item in the public comments, public hearing section is anyone from the public wishes to come forward and has anything that's not on our agenda, please come forward and state your name and let the commission know what your concerns or questions are.
My name is Darren Lee Hansen.
What was your name?
Darren, D-A-R-R-E-N,
Okay.
Lee, L-E-E, Hansen, H-A-N-S-O-N.
All right.
I read in the Dickinson Press when it was a little over a year ago about bringing recyclables to apartments, businesses, and everything else, gas stations. Minnesota's doing it, and I think we should too.
Okay. So your concerns are the commercial recycling and the apartment recycling?
Everything.
Okay.
Except food.
Okay. We will forward that to our recycling coordinator. I know one of our concerns is the contamination in the recycling, especially in the apartment complexes. We can control it.
Yeah, well, the blue containers mean recyclables, the black one means everything else.
I know that, sir, but I drove by a big apartment complex yesterday, which was garbage day. There was so much garbage laying all over the place. Once those bins get full, I can tell you this right now, the biggest concern is the blue bins.
Safety, right?
Nope, the blue bins will be full of garbage, and then that'll contaminate our recyclables, and we'll get docked. So we will work on it though, sir. So I'm glad you're bringing it forward. I think something at the commercial end, probably in restaurants and some of these other places that have a lot of cardboard coming in and stuff, that's doable. But I think apartments will be a challenge.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public have any comments not on the agenda? Anyone watching online, 701-456-7006? Anyone else from the public? Seeing no one else has any comments, I'll close the public hearing. We'll go back to the normal agenda. Our next item up is we have a KLJ task order, grant writing services. Josh?
Good evening again, Mr. President, Commissioners. For your consideration is a task order for KLJ Engineering LLC to perform grant writing services for a various group of projects in an amount not to exceed $78,150. And listed below in the staff report, but also in the task order is the allocation of the different projects and not only the different projects listed, but then the allocation of dollars. Of the projects listed below in that table, these were all approved in the 2024 capital improvement project with budgets. And then ultimately, task 4 is to support grant writing services for North Dakota Department of Transportation urban and regional projects for their solicitation, as well as then the flex funds, which was something that was passed in the last legislative session. So an effort to go after the additional funds that have been put in place. So with that being said, engineering staff recommends approval.
Last year was the first year we employed KLJ. Am I correct?
I think it was actually in early 23, wasn't it?
Yeah. Did we get a full year out of them last year?
I don't think we got a full year, but it was the first part of 2023.
Do we know what we got in grants, I mean, from them?
As far as successful grants?
Yeah, successful grants.
I don't believe there was one that totally went through.
So specifically, as far as successful grants, no, we have not received any successful grants. With that being said, though, we had limited spend with them. I'd have to look back. Linda and I just actually looked at those numbers before, and unfortunately, I don't have that with me. But A lot of what we had to go through was the effort of reorganizing and identifying which projects could fit under which grants, which ones did we have the time to actually submit for, and then ultimately make sure that we prioritized and focused on those, which ultimately the culmination this is. And these we feel we have good opportunities with, and then the actual costs associated with the grant writing services will be allocated to those projects. So,
Well, I will definitely see this year cost, the cost benefit.
that's the hope. Yep.
Hopefully. So, just for the general public, we employ the KLJ rather than hiring a grant writer to be in-house. We actually use two different services to write grants for different departments within the city. And then there's some departments that, like the museum, the Commerce grant, they had to basically do that one quickly by themselves because it had a timetable. But so we'll be able to have a better feel on the cost benefit to this type of service after this year, I think. So, any other comments or questions on the grant writing services with KLJ?
So is this the extent of what they get paid? I mean, if it's awarded or not? I mean, let's say we get a Patterson Lake project for $5 million. I mean, does KLJ take any of that for awarded grants?
No, it's not associated. Their contract is not associated with anything related to the award.
There's a lot of grants are written where they administration fees or something,
Yeah, in this case, that wouldn't be how that would work.
Okay.
I can't remember the details with Nexus, the other team that was awarded to do grant writing services, but there was something more similar to that with the way that they had their contract.
Engineering Community Development is an Apex Engineering Task Order Amendment for the 2023 water main and lead service line replacement.
Again, good evening, Mr. President and Commissioners. For what was listed on the agenda, unfortunately, it had said 2023. It was intended to be 2024 water main and lead service line project. With that, previously, Apex Engineering Group had been awarded the task order for the project, and that had gone through an RFP. And then as we got started on that project, we ultimately did a site review, looked at the amount of concrete, such as curb and gutter, sidewalks, and then some of the driveways. And to the extent where there's different kind of standardized or more typical failures, but ultimately then some of the concrete in the curb and gutter is almost like the grout or like the cementitious materials around the aggregate. It's almost like delaminated and gone. And so then you see a significant amount of exposed aggregate, for example, and all of that's just going to sit and hold water. And then when that freeze-thaw cycles occur, that's going to continue to deteriorate that curb. So went through, marked out the concrete that we felt needed to be replaced, and then ultimately looked at what that cost would be, and then decided this is more similar to what we've done historically, is from a special improvement district standpoint, similar to road maintenance projects. And so looking at where we were at with our current estimates with the road maintenance project for 2024 and the anticipated additional costs associated with the special improvement district, went forth to ask Apex Engineering to prepare this task order amendment to prepare the special improvement district for this area, and then ultimately replace that concrete so that the concrete in the area will be a similar outcome or deliverable similar to what we've seen on the road maintenance projects. So being a little bit more holistic project.
So there won't be a mill and overlay in this area?
For this actual area, what we're looking at is similar to what we did to 2023. We didn't actually mill and then overlay on 4th Avenue West, just north of Allard. What I would recommend there is we maybe wait a year or two, or maybe a few years. There'll likely be a little bit of trench settlement. That's kind of an inherent nature. And so then some years in the future, but not a significant amount of years in the future, we'd eventually come back and mill and overlay that section. once that little bit of settlement occurs and then basically smoothing out that roadway segment. That'd be the intent. And then that would be a very short duration project in the future where, maybe in a week or a short duration like that, where they'd be able to mill and then overlay and be out. So,
I mean, typically, we'd use these for mill and overlay projects when we're redoing the street, not when we're replacing lead service lines that we have to replace.
yeah, in this case, there's a lot more concrete that needs to be replaced than, for instance, just, where the service lines are being cut in and whatnot, so.
My only concern is if we mill and overlay this in 2 years, then there's gonna be concrete to replace again, more than likely. And then we're gonna hit them again with another special improvement district.
I would hope ultimately that the integrity of the concrete will stay so that in just a short time frame that we wouldn't have, any realistically concrete to be replaced in the future. That would be the hope. So.
Okay, I'm not sure I agree with putting a special improvement district in this situation, but when we're not doing the road maintenance. I mean, it's always, from the beginning of time that we've been doing this has been coordinated with the mill and overlay project, so we don't run into multiple special improvement districts in the same area.
Historically also, I guess the pavement hasn't been SID'd back to the.
No.
To the.
But no, that was the policy we set as a commission, that when Craig was still here, that we would start SIDing the concrete improvements to help us defray some of the costs of the road maintenance. It's typically not done when we do a sewer and water replacement.
Okay. And I guess in this case, when we ran the estimates on the amount of concrete, it was something to the tune of about $950,000, which is a pretty substantial cost.
My question for you then is, if we're gonna mill and overlay this in 2 years, why don't we just, the concrete's not gonna last another 2 years? And then we just do it when we do the road?
We could look at doing that, I guess.
Does this concrete have to come out to put the water main and lead service replacement in?
Some of the challenges are if you already have grade issues, for example, where some concrete is either lower or higher than it should be, and then you're just tying back into an existing from a service standpoint. So then you might be just perpetuating an issue that in a later date, you'd be dealing with similar circumstances. You might be replacing that same concrete some years later, so.
Anyone else have any thoughts?
I'm just trying to think of the area there. We're right below, basically right below the a lot of old houses right in there. And they do have some different grading issues. I guess my only question is, can they do all this and do the road at the same time?
To replace the sewer and water, or these service line, these the mains too? We have to tear the road up now.
Sorry, I didn't follow the
I
question.
said, to replace the water mains, we have to tear the road up, so we have to repave it.
Yeah, there'll be portions that'll have to be patched and everything, yes, so.
But the whole lines are not being replaced.
The whole line.
Not like a whole street, it's just gonna be portions of it.
Yeah, there's gonna be a series of trenches ultimately, and we are looking at, for the project, to do a bid alternate for the pipe bursting, similar to what we did in the 2023 project, in hopes of minimizing the number of actual length of cuts. So whether or not that works out, or whether or not that comes out to be the low bid option, that's yet to be seen. We'll have to see once the bids actually come in January or February. But in this case,
Like I said, my biggest concern, if we're gonna assess them, the 900,000 now, that when we do the mill and overlay in 2 or 3 or 4 years, that we're not gonna say, well, we gotta regrade again, and this curb's gotta come out, and these corners have to get a new yellow pad on them, and this has gotta be done, and that's gotta be done, and then they get whacked again.
I guess we're just gonna have to pay attention and then to make sure it doesn't happen.
Yeah, some of us might not be here, though.
Yeah.
So,
And I think ultimately in that case, that's something that we're cognizant of. We even went through the effort of pulling which building permits have been in place for, I think there was 3 total where some of the people have actually replaced some of their concrete sidewalk. And so we obviously don't want to, do anything that would ultimately cause them to incur extra expenses related to something that one gentleman, I think it was just earlier this summer, that he had just replaced his sidewalks. We want to be cognizant of
but
that.
what if,
so.
that's my question, what if the grading isn't right now on his lot? Because he did it to what it was originally there.
I'm not sure what the conditions were originally, but right now, that wasn't the concern, I guess, when we looked over that specific circumstance, but.
Back in the day when we decided to start specialing, it was coincide with the repair of the road, the mill and overlay.
Yeah.
And why aren't we, if we're gonna tear up most of the street anyway, just doing a mill and overlay here to get it done?
So a couple different things there, I guess. One, we looked at those added costs as well, looking outside of what that trenching would be. It'd be approximately another 300 or so thousand. Looking at our budgets where we're at and overall for the road maintenance project plus this project and everything. So trying to make sure we're aligning that. And then ultimately, there's a reasonable likelihood we're gonna have some minor amounts of settlement in some of those trenches. And so ultimately waiting short duration in time, let that settlement come through and then perform that mill and overlay. That's, but we could also,
It's 300,000 more?
300,000, I think, is where we were at for the additional costs outside of the trenched areas and whatnot, so.
And it'll be 600,000 in 2 years.
Well, inflation has been challenging, so, yes, so. And it's something we can certainly look at. We're hoping that our estimates are high anyways and that we'd have additional budgets. We can certainly look at tying that in and including that mill and overlay in this year's project as well.
I mean, if we tabled this till the next meeting, is it gonna hurt this? Not awarding it today? Just to get some additional information to what that cost would be?
Yeah, I think we'll be okay timing wise and whatnot. I guess specifically for additional information, are you looking for very detailed specific added costs or?
Well, I think in my opinion, if it's 300,000 to do the mill and overlay, why aren't we just doing it? Unless we don't have the money, but I'm sure we could scrape it together somewhere to just do the project as one project instead of tearing these people's street up in 2 years again and starting all over. I drove through some of the replacement areas we did this summer. They had dirt and trenches everywhere all summer, and then we're gonna do that this year or coming year, and then 2 years from now, we're gonna mill their whole street off again and start over.
Yeah, I guess the intent with the actual mill and overlay portion, that's a very short duration task where they come through mill and so like a 1 week total duration is all they would be in this area, approximately. So, but ultimately, again, I hope ultimately we've put in enough contingency into our estimates to where if the recommendation is just to mill and overlay now, we can look at doing that and include that into the scope of work. Again, it was something we were being very cognizant of budgets and making sure that we're not going to target over and hold ourselves, into a challenging spot. So,
my only concern is what Josh mentioned is the settling, because you do notice in some of these areas after we go in, then all of a sudden
I know, but
we're going back in and patching because there is settling.
I know, but we do new developments where we put the sewer and water in and we pave it right after.
I know.
Yep.
I mean,
I guess to get some additional information, I would feel more comfortable.
I don't have a problem with the project. Don't get me wrong. I have a problem with special assessing it for a water main replacement and not a street improvement. That is what we had always worked these projects as. Doing these SIDs was to be with street improvement projects. Mill and overlay, reconstruction of the street, not a water main replacement, but.
Yeah. And like I say, we have every intent of ultimately, eventually milling and overlaying the streets, because the number of cuts that are gonna occur are gonna be significant. There's a high frequency, there's a lot of houses, so you're gonna have trench after trench after trench as you go down.
Every house, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, yep. So there's, but we could certainly tag in that additional, mill and overlay in, and like I say, it was a small dollar, and comparatively to our overall budget, I understand that, but we are being cost conscious as well. We're you guys approved a budget, and we're trying to hold hard within that limit, so, and I would tend to agree with you. I think we can find 300,000 somewhere else. I'm not, that concerned about it, but again, we are being cost conscious, so.
I would have a concern. I'm just thinking, I'm listening to what you're saying. My concern would be the complaints from the citizens. If we have a bunch of ruts or fill-ins like there are around the city, I'm already getting a bunch of people complaining about how uncomfortable the rides are. And to tell them they gotta wait 2 years to wait and we'll come back and we'll fix it then, I would agree with Commissioner Frederick. I think this should all be done at once.
Well, I think to get us some better information, if we table it to the next meeting
I think we can approve the task order with, just maybe
Just
you
include the
report
pavement.
back next meeting with what doing the mill and overlay would cost. I think,
Okay, you want to do it that way? That's fine.
I don't think we need to hold up the task order so they can get the work started. I just think if we're gonna tear up the streets anyway and tear up all the curb and gutter, we might as well just do the street at the same time and just be done with it, so.
And that's more than fine. I do appreciate the consideration and the feedback and those kind of things, and ultimately, being the SID portion is a time-sensitive aspect. There's a lot of century code-related aspects that we've got to meet, so trying to move, as quick as possible to get this ultimately completed and then get it out to bid as early as possible. That's ultimately the intent, so. But yeah, I'm happy to report back on where we're at, total estimates for all the different aspects, whether it be the amount of curb and gutter, sidewalk, some of the driveways that need to be replaced, but then also the pavement and where we're seeing the total install cost for the project at, so.
With that, then I would make a motion to approve the task order.
A motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Our last item this evening is a demolition of 405 2nd Avenue West. This will be presented by Code Enforcement Officer Stewart. Welcome.
Good evening, President and members of the commission. I am here just to request to set a date to proceed with the demolition hearing of 405 2nd Avenue West. Little background there, the property was deemed unfit for human occupancy, a public nuisance, and a dangerous structure in January of 2021, but documentation with our department goes back to 2017. The property has been vacant, has not had water utilities since 2018. In 2021, the Building and Codes Department did conduct an interior inspection of the home and determined that a portion of the foundation was failing. So we are just looking to set a date to go forward with that hearing for that property.
Mr. President, Commissioners, to follow up on Ms. Stewart's comments, we do have to give notice to the property owner. There is also a bank that is a mortgage lien holder in this particular situation. So I will also be unavailable for a certain time period in November. So I would just ask that as we consider your schedules, we consider the first week or second week of December so that I can make sure that we have an adequate notice period for both of those entities as well as the property owner.
So our first meeting is the 5th of December.
I would say that we should probably allocate an hour. I don't think it's going to take that long. This is just going to be the last time we did this, we had 3 hearings in one time. So I think we're going to get it done sooner rather than later. But if you wanted to do it maybe right prior to
Right.
the commission meeting that day, I think that could be a possibility.
That's what I was looking at, setting maybe 3 o'clock on the 5th, if that works for everyone.
Mr. President, I will not be able to be here. I will be attending League of Cities for the
Okay.
directors meeting.
All right. Well, I'm pretty sure we'll have a quorum, so.
Okay.
Does that work for, okay?
That should work for me.
It works for me.
Okay. So let's go with the 5th. That give you enough time for notification and everything?
Yes, between the two of us, we'll get those sent out certified mail so that
Okay.
we do that, and I think we should be good to go.
If not, we can always delay it to the 19th. But, you know, the sooner the better. We need to get on these properties that people abandon.
That was my question. I mean, if we made this a dangerous structure in 21 of January, how come it takes 30 months to?
This one was a unique property. It's currently going through a foreclosure, and we've had communication with the attorneys that have been representing the bank with regard to cleanup, and we were hoping that some action was going to be taken by the bank to avoid this problem. But it appears that they are looking to market the property, and that's just not consistent with the direction the city needs to go here. So unfortunately, we are in a situation where we're stuck, and this is the direction we need to take.
Okay, thank you,
Okay.
Christina.
All right, we'll set the date then for 5th of December at 3 p.m.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Commissioners, is your time? Is there anything? Anyone have anything? Just to give a commission notice, I have asked to, I've received all of Mr. Dossinger's annual reviews from commissioners. Him and I have met. I have asked him to put in an executive session on, for our next meeting in November for us to discuss the contract. Yeah. And there's some parameters within the contract I think we need to possibly adjust. And Mr. Dossinger and I have talked about that, so I'd like to have an executive session, and then we'll go from there. So, and I will get out an overview of all the commission. I'm getting a packet together for Mr. Dossinger to put in his permanent file, and I'll get you guys a summary. So, anything else, commissioners? All right, not look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.